Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Nummy. How are you doing, Nummy?
Fabulous. How are you?
Very well. Not particularly refreshed after four shows yesterday, but I'll cope.
Yeah, that was a big day.
It was. The most priceless moment for me, I think, was Wiggles.
Oh, yeah.
That was just priceless.
Unforgettable moments with Wiggles.
Yep. Just brilliant. But I can only assume he's regular Joe and just thinks, well, these guys must be nuts. They're flat earthers. It'd be totally easy to debunk them.
Yeah. He's seems very quaint. You know, thinks he's going to tell us about the basics of geometry and things like that, and that we're all just going to realize our folly.
Yeah, your sarcastic thanks to him just had me rolling around when I listened to it back. I was just like, oh, thanks, Wiggles. So helpful.
Yeah, well, I think we can award him a no-ball prize. Should start giving people no-ball prizes.
With absolutely awful arguments.
Yeah, the best horrible arguments, the best the begging the question the hardest.
But he tried to distract from where he begged the question by stuffing the camera in his mic. I mean, it was the biggest clown show ever.
Yeah, it really was. You're like, if you look here, it's like, oh my god.
I'm just going to draw out a sphere. Right, you're going to do what? Draw out a sphere? What, beg the question? Yeah, you stuff that mic in your mouth while you say it.
How you doing, Anthony?
Hey, Anthony.
All is good. It's a bright summer's day today. It's lovely and warm. It's 26 degrees. Doesn't feel like 26 for me, but it says it's 26. So I'm thinking there must be a bit of a calibration thing with my thermometer thing in the car. But it's all good at the minute. How are you?
Same. It's a beautiful day here in Toronto. Sun is shining. Just having my morning coffee. Waking up.
Well,
straight into the fire.
I've put a post on Facebook, and I don't really do stuff on Facebook because, let's be honest, most people on Facebook are asleep. And most of my friends, they kind of just think, yeah, leave him to it. They don't really engage. They don't say, hey, we live in a ball, you moron. They just leave me to it. But I've had a response from a post that I put on Facebook, and the post is irrelevant, but one of the guys that responded has basically said, why don't you just go and do a crowdfunding thing and fly to the edge of space? And I'm like, yeah, right, like we can do that, thinking he was referring to rockets, but he's not. Apparently for 17,000, Nate, can I just share my screen?
Yeah, sure.
If we let's just say for argument's sake that we did actually crowdfund. Can you see this screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Apparently, for 17,000, and I think it might be euros, 17,000 euros, you can get to the edge of space and up to 17 kilometers guaranteed, but you could get up to as far as 22 kilometers. Now, I can't remember what that is in. Let's do the 22 kilometers in feet. That gives us 72,000 feet. That's only as high as Concorde. But they're classing this, they're advertising this as the edge of space. Now, Concorde didn't fly in the edge of space, but they do advertise that it did. but it didn't fly on the edge of space because, well, it depends on what you define as the edge of space, but generally speaking, the edge of space isn't 70,000 feet. I think most people will agree with that. It's beyond that significantly. Nath, what do you consider to be the edge of space?
I don't really conceptualize it in those terms anymore, so it's a really hard question to answer. Back in the day, what would I think space was? Well, I mean, it's got to be 100,000 plus at least, surely.
I think it's more like 1 million, because I think the ISS would be the edge of space, right? And that's 1,250,000 feet.
Well, no, because the ISS is still in the thermosphere. So by definition, it's still within the Earth's quote, or the Earth's gravitational pull. Hence the reason why it gradually loses, apparently, why it gradually loses altitude and needs the Soyuz capsule to put it back up there. So
I mean, it's still in the atmosphere, right? So it still has some. There's still a little bit of air resistance. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the thermosphere, so they say. But it says in this advert, it says that only astronauts and cosmonauts above the ISS will fly higher at this point. Now, mathematically speaking, that's true. But let's just say, for instance, let's just say for now that this is attainable, right? Because my point on this is that I don't think that even if you had the 17,000, I don't think that you could actually do this. And I think that the cost is prohibitive intentionally to stop you from trying to do it. But let's just say we did actually do it. Let's say that there was a flat Earth thing and we did crowdfund it and we got the money and somebody clicked the book your flight now button and then they said, who's the nominee? Who would you put up there? Is there anybody?
Daniel,
I'd do that. Why? What's the issue? I don't get it.
Yeah, but would people believe you if you came down? I mean, there's two things, right? Let's say it's flat and let's say it's a ball, right? If it's flat, do you think anybody on the ball side would trust Nathan Oakley to tell us that it was flat and there's the proof?
I don't care whether or not people believe me. I just want to go.
Yeah, sure, I want to go. But the point is, would people believe you if you said it was flat, there's the proof?
Of course not.
And then the other argument is, if it were a ball, would Nathan Oakley then tell the world, hey, shit, I did actually see the curve of the Earth. It must be a sphere.
Yeah, I would.
I think you probably would as well. And I would do exactly the same because I'd shut this argument down myself. I would say, no, if it's a sphere, it's a sphere. Flat Earth is stupid. But it's realistically, it's more likely to be flat than it is to be a sphere, right? We need to send, should it be a flat earther or should it be a ball earther? I'm going to suggest it should actually be a ball earther that goes up and does it.
I think it should be an independent male Freemason. I think that would be the most logical person.
But we pick the camera the camera equipment that they use. So we put a rectilinear lens on it and say, right, go and show us the curve, dickhead. So there you go, Reds, off you go. Up he goes, MiG-27 or whatever, MiG-29, whatever it is. Up he goes, comes back and he's got no curve. The horizon's still flat. Because we know what happens at 70,000 feet, right? But they're clearly saying at 70,000 feet, you can clearly see the curvature of the Earth. Really? So why don't we send Red's rhetoric up to 70,000 feet, which is the Concorde flight, the height the Concorde flew at, and let's see if he can prove this curvature. Because I don't think anybody would accept a flat earther. So why don't we send a ball earther up with our own equipment? I mean, let's be honest, flat earthers could raise £17,000, right? It's one flight.
In terms of video evidence, we've already got Felix. Right? We've already got Felix Baumgartner, who's been beyond that, and he rolled back the door with the only non-fisheye lens on board, and there was the horizon at eye level.
What was the height Felix did? Is
100,000 feet or 110,000, I think.
Yeah, very high.
The thing is, look at the shape of the window.
Finds an altitude of 128,000 feet in a helium balloon field. So he went double the distance. And oh yeah, there was the fisheye lens, and we know it was fisheye because the arm that the fisheye lens was attached to was bent. But obviously, when he opened the door, horizon was flat as a pancake. I mean,
I think that was fake, though. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't fake. It probably did do it, but it probably wasn't the altitude they said. And he did use a fisheye lens to create the curved horizon. But ultimately, it's like, apparently, this guy's come back to me and said, hey, why don't you do this? And I'm thinking, well, it's only 70,000 feet. What would you expect to see? But they're saying that you can clearly see the curvature of the Earth. Well, what happens if we went up there, couldn't see the curvature of the Earth? Couldn't we then get our money back for misrepresentation?
Well,
nah, it says at the bottom, no refunds.
It would have to be in the contract that you signed when you.
No, misrepresentations of fact are statements of fact that induce you to enter into a legal contractual relationship, and they're advertising it as you can clearly see the curvature of the Earth. So why don't we go up there? Nathan, have you?
Hello.
Trolling ensues. Wonderful. There'll be a short interlude while we get trolled. So yeah, I think I've said it a few times in the past that I probably wouldn't take any of these evidences. I would want to see it with my own eyes, but how much that qualifies someone else to take my word for it is kind of pointless. You know, you'd have to go it for yourself. What you took out of it at the end of it is for anybody to guess.
That type of show, huh?
Anthony, I just wanted to say you should watch. There's a documentary, or there's a video that somebody made claiming that the Felix Baumgartner jump was a hoax, and it's very good. They show a number of continuity errors, basically showing that the module that they show on the ground before the balloon goes up doesn't match with the one that they actually sees up in the so-called thermos. There's a lot of strong evidence that fake.
You guys hear me?
I wish it was real, because the fact that he doesn't land, that he lands in, almost the same spot as he launched from, strongly supports the idea that the Earth is not rotating.
Hey P.
He goes straight up and comes straight down.
Hello.
I think he lands like 10 miles from the launch point or something like that. So what
Can you guys hear me?
The atmosphere is rotating with the Earth at 128,000 feet, where there's practically no air.
Oh yeah, it's a total Coriolis cluster. You know what?
Yeah.
Guys.
We do hear you. Yes. Nomi was
Oh,
holding the mic.
Okay. Cool.
I wasn't hugging the mic. I was just sharing some wisdom with you for your benefit.
What's going on, fellas?
Not much. How's it going, Mr. Chocolates?
Chocolate saying.
Is it chocolate saying or is it chocolate saying?
Saying. Like
Go on, where did
Saiyan from Dragon Ball Z.
From, then?
You know Dragon Ball Z, the cartoon, the anime,
No.
Japanese anime.
You must have kids.
No, I'm a big kid myself.
Oh, okay.
But
no,
it's not really it's an anime. It's not really a cartoon for little kids.
The Dragon Ball
anyway.
Z cosmogony supports the dome and the flat Earth.
Not really, but
Yeah, it does. If you see
still flat earther though. Doesn't matter.
Just a small point of correction there, because the word is cosmology. Cosmogony refers to the study of the origin of the universe, not the study of the nature of the universe. So I hear people saying cosmogony all the time when they should be saying cosmology, and it's not really important, but I just thought I'd toss that out there for clarification's sake.
Well, words do have meaning.
Yes, they do. Yeah, so cosmogony is study of, the goni is the study of origins. And yeah, anyways. What's up, P. Mars?
I'm baking some hot potatoes, so I thought I'd flat Earth.
Flat Earth.
Hot potatoes for breakfast.
No, I well, yeah, I do, but I pre-cook my meals too. So like I do this thing where if you heat up a potato and then you let it cool down, it forms resistance starches, which is healthy because it adds more fiber, which is good for your gut bacteria. And then because it digests slower due to resistance. That's what resistant starch means. It's hard to digest. It digests slower, so it doesn't spike your insulin. So it's a healthier way to eat a potato, I guess. So that's what I do.
Good to know. Thanks for that.
Potatoes.
Hot potatoes.
Potato.
Potato.
Why would that make you think of flat Earth?
Potatoes are good.
Say again, Nath.
Why would that make you think of flat Earth, P?
Oh, you know, flat Earth and other hot potatoes.
All right. Of course.
So, I heard you guys talking about the moon being intangible yesterday, or not a physical object or something.
Yes, it is an intangible object. Look up intangible.
Well, yeah, I think you guys were saying it was like a projection.
No, we were saying we don't know the nature of the moon. That's it, because it's intangible. We can't know for sure. So I'm not saying that it is a physical object or not, or a solid object or not. We're
Do you
just
think,
saying that
do
we
you think
can't.
it means three-dimensional, P?
Well, we can bounce radio waves off it, right? So
what?
doesn't that make it physical?
I don't think we can bounce radio waves off of it. Can you bounce radio waves off of it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can use a ham radio.
How do you know that they're not bouncing off our atmosphere and coming straight back to you from our atmosphere?
Because you can aim a ham radio at the moon, and you get a signal back. And if you move it up north of the moon, you don't get a signal back. You move it to the right of the moon, you don't get a signal back.
I don't think that's true.
Wouldn't that prove that the moon's close to us? Because signal waves, unless you've got huge power delivery, are only limited by a few kilometers, right?
No, it actually proves that the moon is 240,000 miles away.
How does it prove distance?
Because you can measure the distance, I think, with the radar.
I'd be intrigued to know that. What kind of amplifier do they have to send the signal bouncing at this absolutely massive
They've got a
distance?
nuclear power station, Nath. Come on.
Well, no, if ham radio operators can do it, I mean, what are they literally just plugging in a toroidal amplifier and powering a signal with that? A few watts.
The thing is,
it's an established fact, right? That we can bounce.
It's not an established fact. You can't repeat it. You haven't tried it. You just believe somebody who said that. But the other thing is that if the Earth has an orbital velocity of...
Oh, we're getting sniped.
Yeah, Nummy's kind of numb in his brain. So it's an established fact we can bounce radar off the moon, which means it's physical.
Have you ever done that though? That's kind of the question. I know you said you did, P, but oh, we lost absolutely everybody. Oh, there'll be a short intermission while I start a new hangout. Welcome to the show. Oh no. Oh, where's masturbators? There we go. Get the link from masturbators Skype. Hopefully we'll get a few people back on, and I'll share the link in a few minutes' time. We'll get you back on shortly, P. Bear with me.
I'm back.
Good to have you.
Thank you. Anyways, as I was saying, there's if the Earth's orbital motion is as claimed by the heliocentrists, then
Hi,
this
gentlemen.
would
Hello.
not be able to bounce directly back. Hello.
Hi.
Mark, are you from Toronto?
No, Ireland.
Okay. There's some Mark that was from Toronto. He was messaging me in one of the groups, and I never managed to. I didn't respond quickly enough, but somebody named Mark apparently.
Yeah, no, I'm Ireland. You're in Canada, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right, okay. What time is it now? Is it early morning for you?
It is 8:27.
I'm looking after a child today, and she's banging away at something.
I know the feeling.
They have to practice hammering.
Yeah. Have you got kiddies yourself?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
No.
Yeah, the other day, Mark, your
Wonderful piece of
I assume she's your daughter, but I think she turned the camera on when you were away from the desk. Fortunately, I hadn't got any of the icons shown, so no one got to see her. But it was just funny watching her play with your computer on the little icons.
Yes, I came in after when I heard you say that. I came in and saw it.
She had no idea. It's a good job it
Right.
wasn't on her, because otherwise she'd been broadcast to 150 odd people.
So, what was the consensus about last night stealing the slot of Globebusters? Was it a success, you think?
Oh, definitely. Got some good feedback in the comments.
Good.
Yeah, really good.
And a peak viewing, did we get any figures on that?
150 people, I think, tuned in yesterday, approximately. Can't remember exactly. Good.
I mean, is
you
that
know.
comparable to the daytime shows?
About the same. They all seem to get about the same sort of averages. I mean, this show's a little bit early at the moment, so it's a bit low at the moment. Hopefully people will share. Share if you've not done so already. Keep putting it in the chat feed. But yeah, they tend to go to about 120 to 150 people each and every show now.
I thought that guy did a really great presentation about the moon.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was quite thorough and very well researched presentation. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I want to have a private hangout with him just to clarify some things. I've been keeping my eye on the moon as well. This going off what the Morgile says, that it's impossible to see a new moon or a waning moon during nighttime. In theory, that sounds that's correct, but I want to test it myself. At the moment, we're seeing it's a waxing moon around about 10 o'clock at night, just as the sun goes down. The moon becomes visible.
Saw a beautiful crescent moon last night, shining very brightly.
What time of day was that?
Around 11:30 p.m.
Yeah, you see, we shouldn't be able to see that, should we, at night?
I suppose not. I don't know. I have a hard time fully visualizing all those relationships fully.
I know it's difficult to think in 3D, isn't it? Some people seem to have it, and I don't have it.
I find I can think in 3D, but it's all these like spaces, like it's without knowing the distance to the moon. I don't know. It's very complex when you start factoring in the, like if we were to accept the assumptions of the heliocentric model for argument's sake, then you have to add in this tremendous distance, right?
Yeah.
So then that's what makes it difficult, because it's hard to have an intuitive sense of 237,000 miles or whatever.
Mm. Hi, Anthony.
Hola.
Welcome back.
Can we go back to the jet proposition? Do you not think it would be grounds to get a misrepresentation claim if they say that you can clearly see the curvature of the Earth, and then we go up there with recording instruments and fail to see the curvature of the Earth? We would then be able to get our money back, right?
Well, you're the expert in this, so I guess you would.
It's a misrepresentation of fact that induces you to enter into an agreement. So that would satisfy the definition of, in English law. Obviously, there's not many. I don't know whether that's an English or an American thing, but we could probably hang on. Let's just see who it's with.
Yeah, false
Yeah.
advertising. I think that.
I mean,
No misrepresentation of fact.
you're
It
right,
would be
but what if
negligent or
it's just some
fraudulent. You'd
dude?
better going with negligent misrepresentation of fact.
Or if
because
it's
you can
some
prove
poor
it.
dude just running a business
done in
and he's just
Russia.
under the same delusion as everybody else that he's on a sphere and doesn't think it's in any way misrepresenting what he thinks the world is. And he's bought himself a MiG and he maintains it, costs him an absolute fortune. And I don't know, going to the extent of getting somebody like that on false advertising claims while you may be technically correct, because the Earth is obviously inobservably flat. You're never going to see any curvature from a MiG, no matter how high you get. However, you know, maybe just write to him and say, you do realise that there is no curve.
No, I'm gonna write to him and I'm gonna say, if I can't see the curvature of the Earth, do you agree to have? Well, there's no point because we're not going to raise the money, but it would be legal grounds for getting your money back if you fail to record the curvature of the Earth.
Yeah, while that may be true, let's hope it's just not some cottage business where some guy's invested his heart and soul with a couple of $1 million that he's earned through his lifetime on a MiG and a pilot. Anyway.
Yeah, it says you've got to go to Russia and do it as well. So it's like, that means it'll be a Russian plane. And we know that the Russians are not exactly known for the best of maintenance, right?
You're never going to win the case. They've got it through, they're using some kind of international law. You're not going to win that court case in Russia, I guarantee you.
No, I agree. Although it's booked through Switzerland, which is interesting.
The problem is that, they may be able to finance a legal defense that they could just like out finance you in their legal defense.
And they can throw all the money at it, but once you've got your case issued in the courts, then the next thing that generally happens is trial. If it's not going to be trial, they've got to make numerous applications, which they've got to pay for.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting proposition. I'm just not. My expectations for winning for going before the judge and somehow winning the case would be quite low.
I mean, in principle,
clearly see
Anthony,
the curvature of the Earth.
Sure, in principle, I agree with you here, but wouldn't you say that this is just some little fish? By comparison to NASA, who's saying not only are we flying up, this is what the world is, and they show you photos of the blue marble and tell you that's your world. They're on the scale of this much more guilty of fraud and need exposing and putting up against the wall more than this little company, whoever they may be. Don't you think?
And what's the position of this company? Are they going out there to prove that the Earth's a globe, or are they questioning whether it is or it isn't?
No, I think they're just providing. They've got a MiG, haven't they? And they're just providing touristy services and telling you, "Hey, look, you can see the curve."
Yeah, the flight is what you're paying for. One of the unique selling points may be factually incorrect, and yeah, you are technically correct, but I just see the fraud of NASA and SpaceX and all the rest of these affiliated.
Yeah, but hang on, let's be honest. NASA are not offering commercial flights where they're claiming that you can see the curvature of the Earth, are they? As far as I know.
Well,
Richard Branson is, isn't he?
But that's that would be my criticism of them. This guy's actually saying, go up and have a look. You can decide for yourself. You can argue that that's their selling point, but by the same token, NASA aren't. They're saying, take our word for it, like it or lump it sort of thing, which I think is much better to have a guy saying, yeah, go up and have a look for yourself. That's the closest I would ever get. I've never got up to 70,000 feet. So from that point of view, yeah, you could argue that, if that's really what you wanted to see, prove it either way. But, even then, I just think it pales in comparison to what we're being led to believe by people who tell us we can't use their equipment and can't go up with them and sit behind them in the seat. And for all we know, the guy who runs that plane does think he sees curve when he goes up.
I've just realised as well, if you just represent my screen, Nath, look at some of the pictures that they've got. Where's that? There it is. Make it a bit bigger.
Because you're looking through a convex window, right?
Sure, but look at the picture though.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is obviously a fisheye lens because we live on a bendy up line, but look at the pictures that they're showing, right? So the next one, clear as day. Curvature of the Earth, clear as day, right? That one looks concaved.
Yeah.
That one looks, that's lovely. There's the money shot. That'll be the money shot. And there's another curvy one. Yeah, let me speed it up a little bit because there's some really, that one. What's that one though? That's in the middle of the frame as well, it looks like.
Probably has a lot to do with the angle that you're looking out of that bubble window, right? Because there's if any kind of bubble window is going to significantly distort the.
If you just come back two pictures, Anthony, where you see him, one more. That's it. You see the lines of his cockpit are all bent as well.
Yeah. Yeah, but don't you think this particular picture is interesting? It's right in the middle of the frame, and it looks flat as a pancake.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Looks actually a little bit concave.
Yeah, I agree. It's bending up a little bit at the tips.
Yeah.
Which then takes me on to the next point. Dawn was having. Don't put the link out just yet, Nathan. If you do put the link out,
a GoPro a camera actually on the in the cockpit? Can we see one? Is that a camera?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I can just about make it out on my nice big screen. I think it was a little GoPro attached to him. There you go.
Oh yeah, that I mean there. Yeah, that is a GoPro.
Love it.
There we go. So point casing.
Yeah, convex lens, and you can see the curvature of the Earth.
Yeah.
But so yesterday, we were talking about what we were talking about. I got involved in an offline disagreement with Dawn Treader, and I'm going to mention him this time. I don't normally mention his name, but I'm going to do this time because I challenged him to come on, and he said he'll try and come on, but his dad's coming over. But I just want people to be aware. Right, so basically, if your position is that you're a baller and you accept that the curvature of the Earth is demonstrated with Soundly's work, you also accept that boats are going over the horizon, but you don't accept that there should be curvature on the x-axis left to right, then you're in a paradox, because if the size of the Earth's the size that Soundly shows it with his basketball, Pontchartrain, power lines, and the Earth is the size that the boats appear to show it when they apparently go behind the curve, then you've also got to accept that there should be x-axis curvature, and it should be obvious. We should see it, because if Soundly's is supposed to be real, then we don't live on something that's that big. But unfortunately, because of the geometric size of the Earth that they tell us, a circumference of 24,790 feet or miles, whatever it is, that value is a limitation, and that limitation fixes it, so it can't be changed. Now, what's his face? Dawn was arguing that Nathan. He asked me. His first question was, "Are you not embarrassed that Nathan is conflating the terms x left to right curvature with front to back curvature? And do you not think you should do something about it?" And I said, "No, I agree with Nathan." And Dawn basically started this attack on Nathan and me, saying that we were both liars. And what it dawned on me was that he didn't realize that the Earth's actually the size that they tell us it is, in terms of we should see this left to right curvature. Now, he doesn't accept that there is any left to right curvature. By his own admission, it's flat. And I agree with him. The horizon is flat. There is no curve left to right. However, the geometric size of the Earth tells us that it must have a dip at both sides and a crest in the middle. Yeah. How much of a dip is measurable in various ways, according to Metabunk. The Metabunk website in the Advanced tab quotes that you can measure the curvature on the x-axis in various ways. Now, Dawn's previous position was that the horizon is flat. It's straight, and that's because of the geometric ball we live on. It's so big. But on the other hand, it also accepts that Soundly shows curvature and boats go over the horizon. Well, my position was that if boats are going over the horizon and Soundly shows it the size that it is, you must also accept that there is like curvature dip on the left to right, and he wouldn't have it.
No.
Now, the worst thing is he's flip-flopped halfway through the conversation after pointing out to him respectfully that his own geometry, his geometric maths, dictates that there must be horizon dip left to right. The extremities left and right would be lower than the height, the bulge in the middle on the x-axis. He then flip-flops his position and accepts that now there should be. However, he says it's that small that you would need 8K cameras and ultra.
Oh, let me get it straight. So at the point that he concedes that you should have x-axis curvatures, like, oh right, but it's really little and we'd need a lot of good equipment. So in other words, correct, it should be there. We should be able to measure it exactly as we asserted.
Correct.
Right. Yeah, but they're seeing a curvature over 30 miles, aren't they?
Yeah, flip-flopping. No. So he's asserting that there's no x-axis curvature measurable. Why would we ever assert such a thing? We're liars. right? Because obviously the horizon's always flat as a pancake. Yeah, it is, Dawn. As you previously asserted, it's flat as a pancake because it's flat as a pancake. Yeah, but you guys in your Metabunk calculator in the advanced tab have this strange delusion that Earth's a sphere, and you have left to right curvature on the x-axis. You don't, as Dawn fully knows.
But Dawn doesn't realise that by flip-flopping, he discredits himself, because you can't have it both ways. If you accept soundly and boats go over the horizon, then you have to accept that there is x-axis curvature. And Dawn won't do that because he knows that there is no perceivable or measurable curvature on the x-axis. The horizon is flat. And then he says, well, it's because we're only 6 foot high. If you go higher, then you can see it. Well, no, that's not the position. The geometric size of the Earth limits the size of the Earth so that it's not huge and it doesn't get bigger and bigger and bigger as you get higher and higher and higher, which is what it would need to do for you to argue that you don't see it even at the highest of heights. We should see X curvature on the horizon at beach level because of the geometric size of the Earth, not because of how small we are, because of the size of the Earth they tell us it is. It's not a big Earth, but we're told it's huge, that we're little ants on it and you couldn't perceive it. It's not true. The geometric size tells us that we should see it, and Metabunk now acknowledge that it should be there and state that you can measure it in various ways. Well, guess what? There's no evidence to support that there's any curvature on the horizon. None. We've tried doing it, and it doesn't happen. So there is no evidence out there. But let's see how many people suddenly come up with the Soundly-esque curvature, because it has to be consistent with the amount of curvature that Soundly shows, because that is the requirements of a ball. If you accept Soundly in boats, then you've also got to accept that same level of curvature can be seen on the x-axis. And according to Metabunk, it's measurable in various ways. And guess what? There is none.
Anthony, look at my screen for a second.
Yeah,
if you look at this photo from Soundly, these huts are approximately 1.1 miles apart, right? And the place where he took the photo from is about 1.1 miles from the first hut. So we're seeing one, like, you know, or like 1.1, 2.2, 3.3, 4.4. So we're only seeing about 5 miles or 6 miles total. Like,
what a tiny world we live in on.
And then look at how much curvature there is, but we're talking about that much curvature across, you know, 5 or 6 miles, according to Soundly's footage.
And if you accept that this curvature that he's showing, and you also accept boats are doing that, then we want to see that level of curvature on the horizon axis that nobody needs any special equipment to see, because Metabunk tells us you can measure it using in various ways. Well, there is no evidence for it, and yeah, you may well be able to measure it. Well, let's see that measurement. Where's the evidence that shows the XY curvature, please? Because Metabunk tell you it should be there. So if you're going to accept, it's a scaling issue. On the one hand, Dawn claims that the Earth's that big that you wouldn't be able to perceive it left to right. But on the other hand, he accepts that boats go over the horizon and Soundly is showing curvature. Well, you can't have it both ways. It's either curved, and you can see it on both axes, like left and right, as well as the z-axis, or it's not. And Dawn knows that the horizon's flat, but he thinks that it's flat because it's a prerequisite of being on a big sphere. No, the geometry of the Earth is quite small. We can perceive, measure, detect, verify, validate the presence of curvature. And we don't do it. We don't see it on the X. We don't see it on the Z. Why is that?
Well, I think I could take a stab at why that could be.
Why is that, Nami?
Yeah.
Why would you suggest that that would be the case?
I would say it's because the Earth is observably and obviously flat.
I agree. But these morons think that we're lying and that we're conflating the terms. No, your model dictates that because of the size of the Earth, regardless of the observer height, because of the size, the geometric size of the Earth, there should be X curvature on the X-axis. And we all see it as flat. Dawn accepts that the horizon is flat, but doesn't realize that there are various ways to measure it according to Metabunk. Right, so let's see all these various ways to measure it then, please, Dawn. You can second it to anybody you want to. Anybody like Rumpus or M. Scott Veitch, because these seem to be the protagonists in the Ball Earth movement. Let's see some of the various ways. Get Soundly's camera to do it. Soundly's got one of the best curvature cameras out there. Let's see him show that curvature. We can all validate that without a camera. We can all literally, I mean, it's madness to think that you idiots. You're just idiots.
Well, I think that I don't think they are really idiots. I think they know better and that they're just here to obfuscate. And
no, but in Dawn's case, he actually thinks that Nathan is lying and conflating the terms. He thinks that.
It's hard to say what he really thinks, right? He may
No. He's told me that's what he said, that Nathan was conflating terms, that I should be embarrassed on his behalf, and that because I don't attack Nathan, I am also lying too. I mean, I could show some of the screenshots of what he's actually saying.
I believe that he's saying that. I just think that those guys actually know that the Earth is flat.
No, in Dawn's case, I don't believe Dawn's being dishonest. I think Dawn honestly does believe that Nathan is conflating terms, and I should call him out on it. Otherwise, I'm a liar too. I do think he believes that, because I don't think he's that dishonest. I just don't think he can scale, and I don't think he can cross-reference the size on the z-axis and cross-referencing it to the what should be there on the x-axis. I don't think he can do that. I don't think he's got the scale right in his head. But we all realise that Soundly's showing the Earth to be a basketball, and ultimately, it should be there on the x-axis if we're to validate Soundly's work. Now, Ranty's done an 18-mile observation, same distance as Pontchartrain. Hey, guess what? Flat, we could see the beach. Yeah. Now, everybody dismisses that on the ball Earth side because of reasons. They don't come on and prove why. They don't explain why. They just dismiss it because Ranty this or Boats that or whatever. But Dawn doesn't realise that that curve is supposed to be there on the X as well.
AP.
Well, based on, talking to those guys yesterday, I just don't get this. I get the strong sense that they're really totally disingenuous. I don't think that these are honest mistakes on their part.
No, there's two types. There's the genuine believer that believes it, and they'll believe anything that the ballers tell them if they're of an elevated position of authority. And then there's the dishonest people like Sly Sparkane, the Rumpus. Although Rumpus he does show elements where he is honest most of the time. He's pushing the narrative that he knows is false, because I believe, as far as I understand it, Rumpus was directly responsible for that advanced tab on Metabunk going on there, because it was the result of the Isle of Man observations where we realised, Nathan can word this better than I can, but it should be there, and it was changed to account for it because geometrically it has to be there, and that's why they say it has to be, and you can measure it in various ways. But in real world, we all know the horizon's flat.
But if you watch yesterday's the first hour of the chat where I was showing the perspective lines on the Andrew Johns versus Soundly's foot, basically the same shot, like those guys are clearly trying to just distract from the point and obfuscate. Like they clearly had no interest in having a sincere and genuine conversation about what was seen in the pictures. Like, so I just don't personally I think Don Treader is among that group that are not honest.
So rules for the 8 mile inch
kind of like how you disputed my fact about the radar hitting the moon for no reason.
What's that?
Kind of like how you dishonestly
yeah, I dishonestly what? I never dishonestly anything. So let's have it. I don't dishonest. I don't dishonest anything. PMARS. I think that you PMARS are actually just genuinely stupid. So
you're said
okay. You're okay in my books, but if you're going to accuse me of being dishonest, like you better be bringing some proof now.
Well, you said that we can't bounce radar off the moon. But that's a fact.
Oh yeah, that's where we got to, bouncing radar off the moon, right? So doesn't that prove the distance to the moon must be close, P?
No, it gives evidence for it being 240,000 miles.
Right. There's no evidence. So how am I being dishonest about that? I mean, you're not able to. I'm not able to reproduce that. You're not able to reproduce that. You're just taking someone's word for it. So, to me, that's not a fact. To me, that's an unevidenced claim that can't be reproduced.
That's not true, though. So you're being dishonest.
So you've done that yourself?
No.
No. So how am I being dishonest? Didn't I
Because
just say
you're
that?
you're just saying you're making claims that are not true
What claims am I making that's not true, that aren't true?
about the radar. You said you can't do it yourself. You can, and it's an established fact that people have done.
What do
And
you
you're
mean?
trying to act like it's not for some
Hang on,
reason.
hang
I
on,
guess
hang
you're
on.
dishonest.
Pete, there's 2 points to a lie. One, it must be a statement that's false, but secondly, it must be intended to deceive people. How do you prove that he was intended on deceiving anybody?
I don't think I can prove that.
Then it can't be a lie.
Well, in my opinion, he's a dishonest liar because he's disputing established facts about, you know.
So anyone who says the Earth is flat is a
I was
dishonest
just about to
liar.
say exactly that. He took the words out of my mouth. So anybody who goes against the mainstream narrative, they're a liar.
If you don't trust the government, you're a dishonest liar. Everything the government says is true, right? PMARS has to be. Otherwise,
I don't
think
that's what I said.
Well, that's what we could infer from based on your logic of what you said.
No, that's a jump. You're leaping to a conclusion there. It's a poor reasoning, poor logic. Because I didn't say my logic has nothing to do with that.
Well, Nathan,
I didn't say don't question.
I agree with Nathan too. So how poor is the logic?
Are you saying that isn't the globe?
Well, you guys think the Earth is flat, so I mean,
is the globe an established
logic is terrible.
Is the heliocentric model an established fact?
Yeah.
So isn't anyone who questions it there by your logic a liar and dishonest?
No. You can question it.
You just contradicted yourself, PMARS.
All right, PMARS. Yeah. See, like I said, you're okay by me because you're just stupid. You're just an idiot.
I didn't contradict myself. You said, can people question an established fact? Of course they can.
No, you're too stupid to realize when you're even contradicting yourself. So I just feel bad.
But I didn't contradict myself ever.
Yeah, you did.
No, how?
Well, you said that he was deliberately lying, right? Challenging misstatements of truth.
He's been dishonest about the fact that we can bounce radar off the moon. Yes.
No, I'm not being dishonest.
Hang on. Let's just
yes, you are.
The claim, right? What
You're
makes
a liar.
If we can bounce signals off the moon, PMARS, and the average ham radio operator with a 3 kilowatt, what would the average ham radio operator have a power supply of, Nath?
I don't know the answer to everything.
Oh, it'd be in double digits maybe, but not in the kilowatts.
10
I wouldn't have thought.
All right, so the average ham radio operator maybe with 10, call it 20 kilowatts. 20 kilowatts, yeah,
watts,
that's right.
Watts,
20
not kilowatts.
Power.
Watts. Just watts.
Oh, 20 watts of power.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And you reckon they've got enough power to bounce a radio signal, which does degenerate over distance. You reckon they can bounce that off the moon, bounce back to Earth, receive a positive response, bearing in mind that the Earth is spinning and the Earth's orbiting the sun and it's not in the same position once the signal leaves, in the time it takes for it to get to the moon, bounce back and then come back to the signal operator, the Earth's physically changed its position and it can't even come back to the operator. But why do you think that proves that the distance to the moon is far away?
Well, can't you use radar to determine distance of things?
So you would be measuring the time it takes for the signal to go out, hit the thing, and then bounce back, correct?
I would believe so. I mean,
if you could do it with radio signals, why would they do it with a laser? Why would they bother having the laser? Right? You can't do things like that. With radio signals don't bounce back that well. Like it's something that you'd have to, if you want to, like that. What they're claiming is that they can measure the distance from the moon with a laser. That's the claim. It's not with radio signals, or it may be with radar, which is just absolutely absurd because you can't. You're launching the radar. You're sending the radar signals from a spinning platform that's moving at a tremendous speed in a direction. It just wouldn't work. It's just
by the time you sent the signal, and then by the time it hits the moon and bounces back, the Earth's physically in a different place, and you're not looking at the same thing anymore. It's moved.
Yeah.
Well, how do you make it bend?
I want to reply to this argument about the moon and the radar, and that is, I've heard a lot of saying of supposedly bouncing the radar off the moon, but are you sure it's actually bouncing off the moon? Have you ever tried pointing it beside the moon? Doesn't it just bounce back no matter what?
He hasn't tried pointing it at anything because he's never.
My friend did that.
Yeah, your friend bounced signals off the moon.
Well, look, no, I mean, you
liar.
can say what you want, but you're not citing any sources. And I can cite.
myself.
Hold on, Arwen, I'm talking.
You're a
You
liar.
can say what you want, Nami, but you're not citing any sources, and
Okay,
I
can
can
you
cite
tell me about your friends
multiple sources that are credible that will support what I'm saying.
that you
So
think
you're
are credible?
dishonest.
But what?
You just said
Okay,
your friend.
hold,
You just
hold
said
on a
your
second,
friend.
Pete. What I've just asked is though is, what about the
Yo,
power?
I'm here. Good morning.
So, hey,
Morning.
hey, how you doing?
Hello.
Yeah, good. I'm here.
Why would you ever believe that a 50-watt amplifier could get you a signal to the moon? You're saying ham radio operators can do this. Well, you're talking about a few watts. It's not very much power.
Can you tell us about your friend's setup that he used?
No, hang on. I wanted to answer the question.
I mean, I don't know shit about.
Well, you know that a radio signal deteriorates over distance, right? If you go far enough away from the mast, wherever your mast is local to you, you know that that's going to get you're going to get white noise coming through as it loses the signal over distance. And you can see how big their masts are, and they have their own power station usually next to it to give the signal thing its power. Are you really thinking that the average ham radio operator can bounce a signal off the moon based on the little power pack that they've got that plugs into a plug?
I mean, nothing you guys are telling me is making me question the fact that we can bounce radio waves off the moon. I can tell you
But
that.
that's because you're not actually looking into it.
The issue's not that we can bounce
Why
radio
would
waves off the moon. Hang on, Pete.
Why would?
Wait, stop. The issue's not that we can bounce radio waves off the moon. The issue is how far away is the moon for the radio to be bounced off it.
Oh, I mean, I just wanted to establish that the moon is physical. That's what I wanted to mainly establish, is that the moon is not whatever projection of a light. It's a physical thing that you can bounce a radio wave off.
Hey, Weston, how you doing?
That's what you've heard, because you
Hold on,
point
Owen.
at
Can we just
people
say hello
and
to
then call
Weston?
them reliable
Hello,
sources
Weston, how you
based on
doing?
that they're telling you it's a globe.
Arwin.
And that's pretty much
Hello,
all
Weston.
you seem to be doing.
Oh, you're not going to show up, so I've got to kick him out.
So, Pete, you are defending a point that you have never done. You don't know exactly how it works, but you are defending it, right?
What? I'm not defending it. I'm saying it's a fact that we can bounce radio waves off the moon.
Yeah,
I'm
because of
saying that
reliable
the
sources
moon
that told you it's a globe, right?
I'm saying that proves that the moon is close, not far.
All right. Well, it also proves that it's physical, right? So if the moon is physical, why doesn't it fall to the earth?
Well, you can, if you were to spray enough aluminium particles in a space in the air and then fire a laser at it, it'll diffract the beam and it'll send the signal back because it'll reflect. So does that make it physical or does that make it not physical?
What was that? Like, you guys were saying the moon was like a projection, right? And if the moon is a projection,
I'm not
you
saying
can't
that.
bounce a radio wave off.
You can't prove that the moon's tangible.
Hey, Dark Knight.
But you can prove it's physical
Hello.
because you can
Hello.
bounce radio waves off it.
That doesn't make it physical. If you were to spray a load of
Really?
aluminium particles in an atmosphere in front of you and then fire a beam off it, it will deflect through it. Or
Are
you
they
can
not
get-
physical?
You,
Are
or you can get a
aluminum
radio
particles
response
not
from
physical?
it. That doesn't make it physical, though, does it?
Yeah, the aluminum, that's a physical thing. It can't bounce off nothing. It has to
So
bounce
is
off something.
the cloud physical then?
Do you think you could bounce a radio wave off a hologram?
Do you think that the clouds are physical?
The clouds? Of course. Clouds
Really?
have water and ice particles, right?
Sure. But if you fell through a cloud, do you think its physical nature would stop you from hitting the floor?
No.
But radio waves do bounce off anything that is not just
Do they bounce
transparent
off
gaseous.
Correct.
holograms?
But-
Can you bounce a radio wave off a light projection hologram? No,
No,
right?
but what I'm saying is just because you can bounce a radio wave off the moon doesn't make it physical.
No, it does actually.
What?
But
No,
no, Riley, you're wrong. But I don't.
Arwin,
This whole
you always say I'm
idea,
wrong.
this constant concept of it bouncing off the moon, I don't trust that at all because you don't know what it's bouncing off.
You just take someone's word for it. It's not a
Yeah,
good.
exactly. I'd love to test it myself
What's wrong with taking
and
someone's
then
word
just
for it?
aim the radio signal to beside the moon and look
I
if it's
mean,
actually
Nami-
bouncing back at the same rate because I think it will.
Nami, you're not citing any sources. You're just like giving your opinion. So it's like I would have to take Nummy's word for it. Why would I take Nummy's word for it?
Well,
He's
you're
just
not
a
citing any
credible
sources
person on a
either,
YouTube
T-Mars.
hangout.
You're just
I would
saying
rather
these guys I
trust
think
a
are
credible
reliable.
source than Nummy Num Num.
You're oh well. Who is your source then?
NASA.
Because Yeah, you haven't actually mentioned. You're just saying they're reliable because
My
you
friend,
think they're
Mr.
reliable.
Grimm used a ham radio to bounce a radio wave off the moon.
Well, were you there when he was doing it?
Why do I have to be there when he's doing it?
Because it's just a hearsay story then.
Of course, it's a hearsay story, but it's
Well,
better.
then you have absolutely
It's better
no
than
proof
anything
whatsoever.
Nummy Num said.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully for sharing this debate. If you hated the show, you know what to do. But if you like the show, smash the like button. Maybe share the show with a friend. And subscribe if you've not done so already. Also, a massive, huge thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!